توب ستوريز من وطن الكرامة.
Hello, welcome to Watan Al Karama News Channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with latest developments in Libya. Parliament Speaker Aguila Saleh Guaider extended condolences to the government and people of France for the victims of the terrorist bombing in the capital, Paris. Media advisor for the Parliament Speaker Fathi Abdel Karim Al-Mariami noted that Guaider offers condolences to French President François Hollande, describing what happened as a coward criminal act. The interim government condemned the terrorist attack that took place in the French capital, Paris, on Friday. The government stressed that terrorism does not threaten the security of the Middle East and North Africa, but also threatens countries of the Mediterranean region, including Libya. The government reiterated its call for the international community to exert efforts and boost the coordination between states, regional and international organizations to eradicate terrorism that practiced by extremist groups in the entire region. Interim Minister Brigadier Mohammed El-Madani El-Fakhiri sent a telegram of condolences to the French Interim Minister in Paris for Paris victims. Moreover, Al-Fakhiri condemned the terrorist Daesh attacks that faced Libya while it's fighting terrorism on behalf of the world. Libyan Foreign Ministry has condemned the terrorist attacks launched by militants in Paris. The ministry stressed in a statement that terrorism, which grew in the Middle East and North African countries, threatens not only the security of these countries, but also threaten the entire countries of the region and the Mediterranean area, noting that Libya has repeatedly warned of the risk of the aggravations of these groups on the geographical and qualitative levels in the entire region, including Libya, which suffer from these groups in several areas. The National Committee for Human Rights in Libya condemned Paris bombing that claimed the lives of about 130 people dead and more than 200 wounded. The Commission stressed in a statement that these attacks will pose insistence fighting terrorism, adding that Libya has repeatedly warned of the aggravation of the risk of these terrorist groups such as Daesh, Al-Qaeda and Ansar Sharia groups that spread on the geographical and qualitative levels in the entire region, including Libya. The Commission also renewed its call for the international community to end the double standards towards threats of terrorism and extremism so as to eliminate these terrorist acts that threatens the international peace and security. Former UN envoy to Libya Bernardino Leon said that the press reports issued in connection with his work in the Libyan dialogue file and that tackled his violations of the Security Council resolution is only allegations that have not been investigated yet. Leon added in news published on the website of the UN support mission in Libya that he is during the process of rethinking of his career, pointing out that UAE states, Qatar, Turkey and Egypt have shown during his work as the head of the UN mission in Libya their support for peace efforts exerted in Libya, adding that they recognize that the only option for Libya is to agree on a national unity government. And still, Libya Foreign Minister Mohammed Adayri said that the terrorist groups during the recent period are flowing from Syria to Libya, especially after the Russian strikes on Syria. He added that the terrorist Daesh group flows through the air to escape from Syria and Iraq. Adayri also stressed that he received information confirming the existence of training camps in the west of Libya, which train Tunisians to carry out terrorist operations in the Tunisian territory. Tunisian Foreign Minister Tayyip El-Bakkouch called on his U.S. counterpart John Kerry, who is currently visiting Tunisia, to support his country in controlling its border with Libya to prevent the flow of weapons and what he described as jihadists. El-Bakkouch said during a joint news conference with Kerry that technicians and specialists of the two countries in the military field will meet in the coming days in order to boost cooperation between the two countries in the field of border control. He also pointed out that Washington and Tunisia have agreed on a peaceful political solution in Libya. For his part, Kerry noted that a U.S. security team will visit Tunisia in the coming days to discuss joint cooperation, especially in the field of intelligence. Algerian security forces made extensive combing operations in a mountain range located on Algeria's border with Libya. Security sources reported that they sent nearly 10,000 military personnel to the Algerian-Libyan border to secure the desert tourism season, which began earlier this month. The sources confirmed that this military move is to search for terrorist elements that likely entrenched in one of the border areas between the two countries. The source confirmed that Algerian forces conducted search for the suspects and the wanted on terrorism charges in the mountain range along the common border with Libya. French President François Hollande today promised a merciless response to a wave of attacks by gunmen and bombers that killed 127 people across Paris, describing the assault claimed by terrorist Daesh groups as an act of war against France. In the worst attacks, Paris City Hall officials said that 4 gunmen systematically slaughtered at least 87 young people at a rock concert at the Bataclan Concert Hall before anti-terrorist commandos launched an assault on the building. Dozens of survivors were rescued and bodies were still being recovered this morning. Some 40 more people were killed in 5 attacks in Paris region, the officials said, including an apparent double suicide bombing outside the Stade de France National Stadium, where Hollande and the German foreign minister were watching a friendly soccer international. The assaults came as France, a founding member of the US-led coalition waging airstrikes against terrorist Daesh group in Syria and Iraq, was in high alert for terrorist attacks. It was the worst such attack in Europe since the Madrid train bombings of 2004, in which 191 died. And now my audience will transfer to Yemen. The chief of public security in Yemen's southern port, City of Aden, says that the security institutions are collapsing, forcing the government to rely heavily on local fighters from the southern separatist movement, armed gunmen and armed residents of the city to maintain some semblance of the security. Much of the Aden was under the control of Houthi militias and fighters loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh from March until July, when troops loyal to President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, backed by a Saudi coalition of Arab nations, ousted them. The city has slowly descended into chaos since then, with the Al-Qaeda militants expanding their sphere of control in and around the city and increased the assassinations and killings of security officials and local government officials. Aden is the nominal seat of Yemen's embattled government, which Gulf Arab countries launched a military intervention to protect against Houthi groups in late March. Forces from the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia helped the Aden's militias to oust Houthis and their allies from the city in July, but have struggled to enforce order and clamp down on militant groups. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, UN envoy for Syria Stephen de Mistura, addresses the media in Vienna, Austria, November 14, 2015. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said parties to Syrian peace talks agreed today to accelerate efforts to end the conflict in Syria by launching negotiations between the government and opposition by January and holding elections within 18 months. And finally, about earthquake in Japan, the U.S. Geographical Survey reported that a magnitude 7 earthquake hit all the southern coast of Japan. It said the quake struck 119 miles or 191 kilometers southwest of Kazushima at a depth of 6.2 miles or 10 kilometers at 5:51 a.m. Japan time today. The Pacific Tsunami Center said there was no threat of tsunami from the quake, which was initially reported by USGS at 7.1. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدى.